wow. Mongolia here. Wow. Goodness. I recognize a lot of familiar names here. It's good.
And
I like to
I
discipline.
think we're live.
All right.
Oh, it's gonna be a second.
We're live. Yeah. Hello, guys.
All right. Yeah, I'm not seeing the.
I'm looking. We're not. We're not.
Yeah, YouTube.
Here we go.
Wait a minute. There we go. Oops. Let's mute that. Okay. Fantastic. I think we're live, buddy.
Awesome. Hey, everybody. How's it going? Welcome to our second episode of Roast My Site. We are joined here today by Casey Marquis, who is the world-renowned expert in SEO, especially for WordPress and for food bloggers. And I'm joined by my co-host, Bartosz Goralevic. Bartosz, where are you in the world today?
So first of all, I hope everything is gonna go well because I'm in Rome, Italy. I'm taking a little bit of holidays and I'm streaming from my Airbnb. So like Italian, what can go wrong? Let's hope it's
Italian internet
work well. So hello everyone.
Good.
Just want to let you know that the auto translation for YouTube has translated that I'm a world-renowned expert in Fortress. That's fantastic. I will take that over food blogs any day. Let's do that.
Casey, where are you in the world?
I am in San Diego, beautiful San Diego Country Estates in San Diego County, California, where it is a nice, crisp 74 degrees here at 9:04 a.m. So it's looking to be a great day. Excited to be here.
It's cooling down, right? It's getting a little colder. Cool. We got some people showing up. It seems like we have a lot of people here. Hello, everyone. Tell us where you're from. We have Canada. We have Seattle, Chicago, Mongolia, India.
Oh, Bangalore. Here we go.
Mongolia. Wow.
We are.
Hello from Canada.
International. Nice. Say hello, everyone. We're going to take a few minutes just to say hi, quickly explain what we're going to be doing today, and wait for some more people to join us. This is our second roast. We're changing the format a little bit from what we did last time. We're going to go a little different. Casey is going to do almost like a live audit, a live review in real time.
Sure. Yeah, and I promise not to be too brutal.
No. This is a roast. We definitely want you to be brutal. And Casey is going to be covering the technical and the on-page and all of those issues. Bartosz is going to follow Casey behind Casey, and he's going to be covering backlinks for the 4 sites that we picked out today. And then I'll follow Bartosz, and I just will chime in with a few organizational architectural findings. Again, everyone, keep in mind, please, we don't have access to your analytics or Search Console. All the data that we're going to be presenting and talking about is data that we picked up just by observing your website, crawling through your website, and using third-party tools like Semrush, our friends at Semrush who are hosting this for us. This is a roast. We are going to make fun of your site, so we are going to be brutal. Please don't take it to heart. But along the way, we do hope that you will gain a lot of valuable and useful information from the 3 of us.
And if I may add something, we're still looking for. So as Arsen mentioned, we are trying out a little bit different format today. So Casey is not gonna have slides. I'll just have a few with backlinks because today I'm taking the bullet with talking about links for those WordPress blogs, which is someone had to do that. Anyways, if you still think that there is, if you have any suggestions about the next episode, we're more than happy to take that. We're still looking for the best format for the roast, so it's not too offensive, but at the same time, it's entertaining for everyone, including ourselves sometimes. But yeah, so I think we can get started with Arsen. You ready?
Perfect. All right, let me quickly share my screen here. All right.
All right, coming up.
Perfect. All right, so we're going to get started in a few seconds here. I'm still waiting for everything to switch up on the feed. Perfect. All right. So we're going to get started. The first site in our inventory here is Mom on Timeout. Mom on Timeout, if you're here, I hope you're not going to be too offended by what Casey is going to throw at you. So having said that, we're going to go ahead and give it over to Casey. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and Casey will take over.
Fantastic. Hi, Trish. Welcome to the live roast today. First thing to understand is that, again, don't take anything here personally. We're going to tell you what you're doing right. We're going to tell you what you're going to do wrong. And I'm also going to try to bang this out in about 5 minutes. So you are using a Pixel Me design site. The only issue with that is that there's literally 1,000 other sites that look very similar to yours. Now, that being said, there are some things that you can change on that. First of all, you'll notice kind of as we go to the home page here, you've got that email sign-up link at the top. If you pull out and look at this on mobile, it's very disruptive. Not only is it going to push down a lot of your content below the fold, but it's just never going to have a high enough ROI to overcome the fact that you're allowing people an extra couple seconds to get down to your main content. So before we even do any screen sharing, I'd really start for you to do that. Okay? Yeah, we're not doing the screen sharing yet. Okay. Now we're going to go live here. Ooh, please choose a screen and click allow. What is going on here? Please. Screen sharing has been disabled. Please refresh your page. Awesome. Okay, guys. Well, I'm going to refresh. So if it takes a minute to pop back up, you can listen to Arsen.
Perfect. All right.
So Arsen, I can actually build on what Casey said with the pop-up, sure. And let me quickly share my screen and show as a technical SEO, like a technical implication of doing so. And I have a lot of screen open, so I'm very sorry if you will see something that you shouldn't see. I'm joking. I checked. Anyways, can you see my screen, Arsen?
Yeah.
Because there's a little bit of a delay. So if we're gonna look at the critical rendering path of my Mom on Timeout, and you're gonna have a look on the left, what you see is how the website loads slowly. So I'm going like this is like 6 seconds, 8 seconds. This is Italian internet, so have like this is not any way throttled, and boom! All of a sudden you have all these data popping out, which is a terrible user experience. Because imagine that now someone wanted to click on something and everything moved. So you're basically hijacked and that click to something else. This is extremely confusing. And there is, I think it's called Instability API. I have this tab open from, so the Layout Instability API. So if you want to read about that, how it's, how you can measure that. And there is a very good example of what can happen here. So you're going to be, okay, you want to submit the order and the thing is going to move. And let me play the video again. So this is an example from web.dev and from Google. And this is exactly what's happening for Mom on Timeout. Let me show you that again. You have to look here at the screen that pops up below. Around 14 seconds, which also tells about the performance here. Everything jumps in like all together. So you should actually build your website in a way that the most important parts of the website, something actually people want to read. So like obviously the content loads first, but the next elements are not moving the layout down, not pushing it down, especially the email sign up thing that Casey mentioned. So it has a lot of consequences using that and also what I actually mentioned, Google is and other search engines I'm guessing are able to see that this is happening, that the layout shift is something that's
perfect.
Did Bart drop out? Did he drop out?
Very easy to add it as, for example, a ranking factor. I'm not saying this altogether. So yeah.
Okay, let's see if let's try this again.
And I think that Casey is back.
Wow, guys. Screen sharing has been disabled. To share, please refresh your page. I've already done that twice. Choose a screen and click allow. That's crazy. Is this a known issue when you have multiple screens open ready to go, Arsen? Because it's not letting me do any screen sharing.
I have like 20 different screens open and it works. Casey, you figured this out. I think we can, either me or Arsen, we can go just not to keep people waiting, and just give us a shout when it's ready. Arsen, do you want to go?
Yeah.
Feel
Casey,
free.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm just gonna have to. I'll log out and see what we can do here, but it's not letting me do any screen sharing at all. Good times.
So maybe, maybe it's gonna be easier. Yeah, you want to go? Okay, go on, Arsen.
Okay. All right. Perfect. So Bart, tell me you're seeing my screen.
I am.
Okay.
I'm terrible for that. Yeah. Sorry.
All right.
I see your screen, Arsen.
Perfect. Okay, so a few things on Mom and Timeout. Your homepage. So you have a lot of internal links that carry a nofollow in them. Like on your homepage, your view post is a nofollow from the excerpt to actually view the post. It's an internal nofollow. This is a really bad idea. You're basically telling Google that you don't trust your own content on your own website. So definitely stop doing that. It's not a good thing to do. There's also the same things happening in your comments when you're commenting, and I'm assuming it's because whatever plugin you're using that adds a nofollow, external nofollow attribute to the blog comment links to the name in the blog comment. So definitely want to take a look at that, see if maybe you can exclude that for your own links, but still leave it in for everybody else. Again, internal nofollow is not a good idea. Topic organization. There's a lot of content that you have a lot of content on the site, but there's not real structure around it. So like I performed a search for casserole recipe and chicken casserole recipe. And let me get my little red dot here. So you have 1,830 results for casserole recipe on your site. So you have chicken casserole, you have tater tot casserole, beef and corn casserole, and then specifically chicken casserole recipe. And as you can see, there's not one specific place where I can see all of your recipes. All of the results are taking me to specific pieces of content around these casseroles. And essentially what winds up happening is you start losing your ability to rank when you're not providing a place for Google to match like a page on your site for these broad queries, right? So like chicken casserole, Google is selecting your rotisserie chicken casserole page for that. For chicken casserole recipes, again, it's selecting this one because it feels like this is the best page on your site. For easy chicken casserole, it's the same page just keeps ranking over and over, even though you have multiple chicken casserole and casserole posts on your site. At the same time, it seems like you're using categories that are a part of a plugin and not actual categories that are part of the site. So on your recipes page, if I select casserole as your categories, I'm focusing casserole just because that's where I went with all of this. Plus, I was really hungry when I was looking at this yesterday. Casserole, it takes me to this page. So I selected casserole, and it takes me to this page. It's taking me to categories, recipes, breakfast, and casserole. It's not showing me all of your casserole recipes. There's only 2 in that excerpt. But you have 17 different recipes. This is from Semrush. You have 17 different recipes that have casserole in them. So something weird is happening. I have a feeling that even though this is taking me to breakfast, your categories should be better organized and just better structure on the site. So right now you have all of these categories. You have holiday recipes under recipes, desserts, kid-friendly, appetizer, entrees, breakfast, bread, chicken, and so on and so forth. But there's really poor organization with this. So I would definitely take a look at your categories and see if we can find a better way to organize these. See if you have a better chance at ranking for categories like casserole recipes instead of breakfast recipes or entree recipes, because you'll definitely have an easier time there. A few takeaways for me: do keyword research for categories, combine search terms to create hybrid categories like chicken casserole, so you don't have like just casserole or just chicken. If you're using plugins for categories, like I think the recipe maker, Casey, the recipe card plugin has its own categories, right? From your experience.
Yes, the recipe card plugins have their own categories.
Yeah.
Not usually. No. You. Okay. The whole point of the recipe plugins is really tagging. But I mean, it's fine if you. I mean, if you want to. We always want to try to use the categories directly within WordPress whenever we can.
Gotcha. So a lot of the categories that I saw, and in some situations are not your WordPress categories. There's some other taxonomies that are coming in from, I'm assuming, some sort of a plugin. You definitely want to make sure that those are matching, that you're not just using the ones that are in the plugin. It is possible to do this, but it is tough. We've done it for a few of our clients. You do want to create better relationships between posts and structure by implementing breadcrumbs. There's no breadcrumbs. There are breadcrumbs right now, but they're very simple and don't support a specific structure. So make sure your breadcrumbs. I'm on the fourth part here. Make sure your breadcrumbs include categories. So you have home, recipes, dinner, chicken casserole, right? And then your post name, or recipes links to your recipes archive, dinner links to dinner, and then all of your chicken casserole recipes are in this category, right? And then the post name. This will create better architecture, better structure, and create more logical navigational paths. Use both hybrid and regular categories to match broader queries. So if somebody searches for chicken casserole recipes, you don't have a specific page on your site right now that shows all of your chicken casserole pages. So I would create this hybrid category to work together with just casserole recipes that are not just chicken. So those are my 2 cents on this site. I'm going to stop sharing, and we're going to give it over to Bart.
So, okay, let me share my screen. Thank you so much, Arsen. And that's a very good point. I still think we have a little bit of a problem with Casey's screen, but well, it's slowly getting solved. I think.
Yeah, not great.
Not great.
Let's do this, guys. I want to make sure that Trish gets her due, because we don't have time to wait around for me to figure this out. So let's go back to me, Trish, very quickly here. Again, I apologize. The screen sharing is not working. Me switching to another browser at this point, waste of time, because it's going to take me 15 minutes to get it set up. So a couple things very quickly.
Screen sharing myself.
So be aware of this. Yeah. So Trish, looking at me very quickly here, one of the things that I want you to be aware of is the fact that your page speed is really, honestly, very horrible. Okay, we're not going to pull any punches here when we talk about the fact that mobile page speed is a ranking factor. In no planet in the solar system is it acceptable to take 40 or 50 seconds for the page to fully load with ads. The problem is you're with AdThrive. AdThrive will just basically stuff your pages with requests. You have pages with 1,200, 1,400 requests in many aspects. The best thing for you to do is to immediately drop a note to your AdThrive rep. Go ahead and opt into deferred ad loading. Deferred ad loading is going to allow the ads to load later, and you're going to see an incredible improvement both in bottom line UX and also bottom line page speed. Currently on some of your pages, we're looking at, some of your pages are taking 57.9 seconds to load with the time to interactive, when whether it be it with Mediavine or AdThrive, we want to have that under 10 seconds when at all possible. So drop a note to your ad representative. Go ahead and opt into the deferred ad loading. Don't believe any sort of nonsense that this is going to hurt or tank your ad earnings. My experience is that even the most I've seen is a drop of 3%, but the increase in your overall UX is exceptional. So you're going to go ahead and do that. Opt in immediately. Also, I want you to go ahead and, I'm going to go ahead and paste over this tool. I'm going to go ahead and paste over this tool into the chat.
can I build on that a little bit? Because when you were, I think offline for a second, we were actually mentioning that. So with what you said about the performance, I'm 100% behind Casey here, and I think that you can have both. Basically, like, I wouldn't even look at the load time. Make sure that all of the crucial content is visible within the first like second or two, and then load all the extra things slowly in the background if you need to. But make sure that there is no layout shift in between, which is happening now. And yes, sorry, Casey, Jeff.
Yeah, no problem at all, Bart. The thing to be aware of is that when you're running advertising, it's been very slow for ad companies to catch up in what they consider mobile optimization. Mediavine came out and really made some exceptional changes last December. AdThrive was very slow to do so. So I see overwhelmingly in audits where AdThrive sites come to me, I'm like, Casey, I'm stuck in a narrow band of traffic. I can't get out of that band of traffic. And I'll look at their site and they're still having incredibly slow page speed issues. Just by turning in and opting into the deferred ad loading, you're going to be surprised at the incredible performance. So I would urge you to do that. Now, on another note here, Trish, one of the things that I'm seeing here is that you have done some really poor image optimization. I'm showing probably around 50 images on your site that are over 2 megabytes in size. Mostly these are your hidden Pinterest pins. I'm showing one here that I'm going to paste from an almonds collage that is 2.7 megabytes in size. The problem is that you are actually placing these on the page. So you can imagine how much bandwidth, you can imagine how many issues are going to be happening by Google trying to load those elements specifically. We just don't need to do that. As a food blogger, as a do-it-yourself, as a lifestyle blogger, looks like you're currently using Social Plug anyway. Go ahead and hide those pins off the page. No reason to worry about any of that stuff. And one of the easiest ways for you to make these changes with the images is just to go ahead and use a plugin like Enable Media Replace. Enable Media Replace will allow you to go in and save over at the same URL these old existing Pinterest pins, which are incredibly large. What I'd like you to do is go ahead and take a look at the plugin here, start through your media repository, and start saving over optimized images back at the same URL of the current images that you've uploaded. I did a very quick analysis, and if you go ahead and just save over the top 10 largest images, we're going to save, it's pretty ridiculous, something like 45 megabytes just on your image depository, just doing those top 10 images. So it's noticeable.
Wow.
So we really want to go in, save over those images, get a better performance, and go from there. And again, apologize for the screen sharing not working out. We'll probably go ahead and try to see if I can move things over a little bit. But what I want you to also understand.
Even let me just finish. I think you've explained that very well. So yeah.
And again, as Bart and Arsen have already talked about, we have some above the fold issues. We want to make sure that we correct those. One of the things that I also see in your niche that is just not optimized very well is your sidebar. Your sidebar is exceedingly important, not only to showcase your top content, but also to showcase seasonal content. We call that just-in-time content. In your case, you should be showcasing some fall favorites. You should be showcasing some seasonal recipes. By doing that now, you're going to be able to drive traffic not only on desktop, but it's also going to allow some internal link equity to flow site-wide. And even though on mobile, that sidebar menu gets pushed to the bottom, you're going to see a substantial updrift in overall link equity and overall organic visibility because you're pushing so much internal link equity to that sidebar content seasonally when it's appropriate, just in time. So I would urge you to do that. Let's optimize that sidebar as much as you can. That'll help you considerably. So on that note, again, a couple little things as well when you're putting your recipes together. There is nothing highest meets needs about a post that has the exact same photo from 4 different angles. So if you have not moved to process shots, I strongly urge you to do so. When we talk about a recipe site that is a highest meets needs example for Google consideration, it is not one where you've included 5 photos of the finished dish and nothing else. As I tell bloggers all the time, we want you to treat your users as toddlers or drunk adults. We want to dumb down as much as possible your content. I need you to show how I'm going to make these pumpkin pie snickerdoodles. That is how you get to the next level of traffic, bar none. So take all this to heart. And on that note, back to you guys. Let's move on to site 2.
think Casey's trying a different browser, so I'm going to go ahead and present my screen now.
Okay.
So we're going to move on to Shaken Together. Also a WordPress blog. And while Casey's coming back, oh, there's Casey. Do you want to try screen sharing?
Yeah, looks like it'll work. Let's see what we can do here. So before I do this, let's go ahead and cancel here. Let's talk a little bit about this site a little bit. First of all, gosh, let me go ahead and check her name really quick. This is someone I believe that I've actually worked with, but this is a completely new site. So one of the things we're going to talk about with regards to this site specifically is the fact that we've already mentioned about the deferred ad loading. This is also an AdThrive site. Horrible speed metrics. There's a theme here. What I want you to do is make sure that you drop an email to your ad representative and go ahead and get that turned on. Let me see if I can actually, if I do a screen share, it'll basically do the whole screen, right? So I can just pop over to the other tabs. Is that how it's going to work? So let's see if we can get this application, your entire screen. Okay.
Oh, we don't have our soundboards this time, Bart.
Sorry? You're sharing your screen. Can you see me? Can you see my screen?
Soundboards.
All right. Let's go ahead and get rid of this.
Okay.
Now, what can you see on my screen? Can you see my...
We see your screen, Casey. Woohoo! Let's do this.
Let's do this. All right. Shaking together. Let's go ahead and open up all these tabs. Good times. All right. We're working here. So a couple things very quickly here. When we're looking at this site, we have a lot of issues with the example that you did a permalink change previously and you caused some issues. If we go over here,
2018, yep.
Right, yes. And what happened when she did that is that she broke some links specifically that apparently are not loading on my site. So that's fantastic. Let's go ahead and see if we can find those. All right, well, let's not say we did.
This is going great.
Yeah, fantastic. All right. First of all, let's go ahead and talk about your page speed so we can have that open. Here's an example of a Chrome Data Studio report showing the historical nature of your page speed with the crux data taken from a Lighthouse, a Google Page Insights. You can see that you've made some improvements. You see the big jump that you took from July to August? Most likely you did a little bit of changes with regards to setting up some quality caching plugins. Maybe you changed your host, but you can see that the metrics are still not competitive. This is basically Google saying that the first competitive tape is only fast for about, again, 3 out of every 10 visits. If we go ahead and take a look at your on load time here, we'll let that load. The metrics aren't really much improved. We need to be looking at you having competitive metrics at 50 to 60%. You see how right now you're substantially low on that. Less than 2 visits out of every 10 is what Google would consider fast. One of the things that you need to do is you need to specifically go over, sign up for the deferred ad loading with AdThrive. If I can go ahead and take a look, let me see if I can pull this up here. This is Shaken Together. This is your site. This is the roasted vegetables with garlic Dijon sauce. You can see that she's scoring 19 out of 100 on the tool. Look at that time to interactive time of 81 seconds. Congratulations. That's one of the worst I've seen in a while. And one of the issues with that is, again, you're running so many scripts with AdThrive, it's very hard for the whole page to fully load. The first contentful paint, though, 2.5 seconds, not bad, but you can easily get under 2 seconds if we go ahead and make some optimization changes. It looks like you specifically might be you're using WP Super Cache. Certainly not what I would consider a superior caching plugin. You'll find that you'll do a little bit better if you do WP Rocket and go ahead and make some specific jQuery changes there. You'll find that that works better for you. So that's something to consider. But we really want to get this page speed stuff logged in. This is an example of you over a 4G network, 38 seconds plus, and you can see that you've got 1,200 requests loading on the page. It's just not competitive. We have to do more here to dial this stuff in.
Did you say 1,200?
1,200 requests right here.
Wow, I think this is one of the best ones I saw.
Yeah, and again, I basically see this every week. This is the typical AdThrive site with all these ad requests loading. It's crazy. So we really want to make some improvements here, and there's no reason that we can't do that. Sign up for the deferred ad loading and go from there. One of the other things that I noticed on your site is that you are missing meta descriptions on a lot of your content. Meta descriptions are very simple. It's simple SEO 101. You should go down and we should look at trying to improve on some of these missing meta descriptions. We want to go ahead and get those filled out so that we can at least control how our site presents in the search results. If we go over here, let's take a look at this. This is your site at Google. Do you see all the expired giveaway content? Not great for users. If we go ahead and click on this Easter basket giveaway, think of your site as a garden. And what we're trying to do is that your good content are the flowers. Expired content like this, these are weeds. This is never going to generate traffic for you. It has a seasonal component that even if you left it for next Easter, it's not going to do much for you. We want to go ahead and pull the weeds of your content garden whenever we can. If you're going to keep this post, we need to go in, remove all the expired giveaway content, and republish this when it's seasonally appropriate. But you have a substantial amount of this giveaway content that you just do not need on your site. We need to do a lot of content pruning. Pull the weeds so that Google can more easily find your flowers. And that's what we want to do specifically here. Going back to the page speed, your stuff was so slow that GTmetrix timed out. Tried to run it a couple of times. So just an FYI, we really want to get that stuff fixed.
Done.
I actually couldn't for the first time in history, I couldn't run Chrome Developer Tools to like play with performance because it was just it will never end.
Yeah, it was pretty terrible.
Pretty bad. Yeah.
And again, that's about as critical as you're going to see here. Now, you're using a lot of how-to schema on your site, and that's great. But one of the things you want to understand, and this is for everyone else on the call, in this case, she's actually failed to actually use how-to schema. This is an example of a Handmaid's Holiday guest post where she could have used how-to schema and chose not to. But we want to go ahead and make sure that we're putting how-to schema on your site whenever we can. It looks like you're using, I believe you're using WP recipe. No, I'm sorry. You're using Tasty Recipes, which does not have built-in how-to schema. So what you're going to want to do is look at probably adding either Create by Mediavine and using that specifically for the how-to and do-yourself content, or you can go ahead and just look at switching over to WP Recipe Maker, which honestly is the better plugin. You'll be able to add jump and print recipe buttons. You'll be able to optimize with substantially more templates. Things will just look a little bit better. I appreciate and applaud the fact that you have jump and print recipe buttons, but they're not very visible. And if we jump down here to the template, one of the things that you're failing to do is include any recipe notes. This is one of the biggest detriments for sites as a whole, Melissa. And I know this is something that we covered in your other site, the Happier Homemaker, is that if you're going to go ahead and go to the trouble of putting a recipe card on your site, it needs to be complete. For those of you on the call, we want to look at the recipe post and the recipe card as separate entities. We want to optimize them fully. Your recipe card should always have your top tips so that if someone was to print out the recipe card, they have all the information they need to make this recipe perfectly. And we want to go ahead and get that in as much as possible. On the positive, it looks like you've done well optimizing your sidebar. You have some links to your popular content. If I was you, I would move the fall recipes to the top. Right here, put popular posts down, but this is a great job. We always want to, again, this is just-in-time content. We want to go ahead and make sure that we've done all we can in making sure that we showcase that. Finally, I want you to understand that there are a lot of broken links on your site. This is an example of the Handmade Holidays guest post. You see all these links here to Crafting in the Rain. There are about 10 on the page. Every one of them is a 404 or getting redirected by Blogger. Do you see that? And if you click on that, it redirects over. Not a big fan of that. If I was you, I would go in, update these broken links. One of the simplest ways to manage your broken links at scale in WordPress is to download something like the Broken Link Checker. Broken Link Checker, this is the one I like specifically. It hasn't been updated in a little while, but it works great. I just used it yesterday. If I go over here and kind of paste it over, go ahead and Broken Link Checker here. You want to go ahead and pop that in, run this down as much as you can. Broken links, be it internal links or external links, it's not really, Google will say that 404s are not a sign of low quality, but anything that lowers the UX in the eyes of your users should be corrected. This is a big one. I found literally thousands of internal broken links on the site very quickly, and I know that you can correct those. So I would really urge you to do that. So kind of as a summary here, let's get the broken links fixed. Let's go ahead and have you crawl and add meta descriptions to most of your pages. Let's go ahead and get you opted in to AdThrive deferred landing. And also don't forget qualified breadcrumb path every time. You should never have any posts on your site that are uncharacterized. Let's go ahead and fill that out. We want to go ahead and make sure that we have a qualified breadcrumb path site-wide, especially as you come up into the holiday season. So on that note, let's see if I can actually get this thing to work.
Very nice.
Okay, stop sharing. Was that going to work? Did that work? Let me know, guys.
Perfect. Yep.
You did.
Bartosz, go ahead.
All right. Before I go ahead, I have one question to Casey because it keeps coming back. So I'll start with the. Is it okay, Arsen? If we just
go ahead.
Go through. Yeah. So someone is asking if you're advising towards not using AdThrive, and you mentioned that quite a few times, and I was actually wondering the same thing.
No, AdThrive is a quality network. They're just terrible at SEO. Don't listen to them with regards to any SEO recommendations. Do not for a moment believe that your sites are inherently fast for being with AdThrive. They're not. They're putting the impetus on you, the user, to be educated. We're educating you today. If you want to stay with AdThrive, you need to be opting into deferred ad loading. End of discussion. Because if you don't, you're not going to do as well as the sites that have that turned on. I can say that confidently because I've audited over 120 AdThrive sites this year alone. I don't believe that there's anyone else out there that can say that. So when I see this over and over again, and I see, gosh, Casey, why am I not able to build my traffic? And we turn on deferred ad loading and we install quality caching plugins and we get your page speed dialed in. We're taking your first contentful paint all the way down to less than 2 seconds. We're taking your time to interactive from 80 seconds down to less than 10. Think of how many more people can interact with your site in 1 minute. Okay, think of that. Think of the improved UX there. So that's what we want to do. So no, if you want to stick with AdThrive, which tends to have a very high RPM, fantastic. Educate yourself. Sign in and opt in to deferred ad loading. Don't let them push above the fold banner ads. Don't let them show 2 or 3 ads in your recipe card. And definitely, for the love of God, don't take any SEO advice from your ad company. That's going to help you considerably. So hopefully that clarifies.
All amazing advice.
Thank you for that, Casey. I was like, yeah. So one thing to add here is that with what I'm seeing with these websites, and I'm not an expert on AdThrive, this is Casey's thing here. If you like your food bloggers, if you're having people using cheaper mobile devices or any device without like a heavy CPU, so like if in simpler words, if your user is not using like a brand new iPhone X, but like an iPhone 6 or 7 or God forbid like Motorola G4 or something like that, they will not see a 40-second time like load time. They most likely will time out and never open your website at all. So that's something that that I just wanted to add. And just addressing one more question that comes up with all these food blogs here is how to reorganize category. How to reorganize. I'm just gonna redo the question because someone wrote it kind of weird. How to reorganize categories? I think without breaking links. Need to use redirect. So if you're rebuilding any part of your website, and I feel like this is something that Casey touched on, you need to edit internal links. So if you're changing your categories, you need to crawl your website with crawler of your choice, and every single link going to old category should be edited on your end. So there is no use of internal redirects ever. Redirects can be used externally, that's fine, but within your structure, there are no redirects, like period. Let's assume there are no exceptions.
Yeah, and just to build on that, what Bart has said here, very important, and we might cover, I think internal redirects is something that is going to come up in some of the sites remaining here, but this is a very common issue with websites, is that you will do a permalink change and you will fail to update all of the internal permalinks on your site. Now, there are 2 schools of thoughts here, and I definitely know where I think Bart and Arsen and I are basically on the same page here. And this is a simple win. We always want to update all those internal permalinks. I do not like redirects, period. We should not have any redirects. If I make a permalink change, I want all the internal permalinks updated. Now, there are some people who feel that's a waste of time. That's fine. I don't think that those people are really booked with work, if you ask me. So this is a simple thing. And one of the ways for those of you on the call to do this, seek out help. There's an example of a service called the Blog Fixer. His name is Christopher. Christopher works with the Blog Fixer. He has a lot of these automated fixes that he goes in and does for most bloggers. And one of them is he has an internal permalink fix. Basically, he installs a plugin, he runs it, boom, updates all your internal permalinks. Now, there's other very simple ways to do this, but let's be honest. Most of you need to work smarter, not harder. Yep. So spend $50 and have all of your internal permalinks corrected, or spend another $50 and have all of your comment links removed. When we talk about broken links, the majority of those broken links are from comment URLs. Have them removed. Go ahead and get those removed by someone like the Blog Fixer who can go in and within 5 minutes, you've corrected 500 to 1,000 broken links on your site. Good usability right there.
Okay. Arsen is rushing us to move forward. So Arsen, do you want to go now? Or
No, go ahead, Bart. Go ahead.
Okay, let me share my screen quickly. Boom. Thank you so much, Casey, by the way. I love your input here. Like, it's nice to have someone who's like very specialized in the field as a guest. So let me share a few things about Shaken Together. And again, I'm talking about backlinks today for a change. So first of all, this website, I'm pretty sure that this is like 99% connected to a link network of some sorts. Looking at the websites they use for links, this is like a clear sign of a network. I can, bet $100 like that this is a network website, and most of you can see the contact form. This is classic. I love it. Most of the links coming to this website come from like best-10.club. And if you look at any of those at the homepage, this is the homepage. There are no other menus. This is the latest post. So if someone is selling links like that, just open the website, have a look, and ask, like, that is it like a real website with a weird stretched plate of spaghetti, and make sure that this is actually working. This is also a little bit expensive to render. You can check out our free tool at onely.com/tools. Basically, we measure how expensive it is to render, and for WordPress website, this is massive. Usually, expensive renders come from JavaScript. I'm actually surprised at how expensive most of the WordPress websites we're roasting today are. So I'm guessing this is all the ad.
Or can you elaborate a little bit more on the expensive, like the part that you're talking about? What do you mean by expensive?
So okay, let me share my screen again. So if like nowadays, one of the most important things is to make sure that you are not excluding part of your audience. So if we go and we can quickly do that, like we build a free tool, so you can play with that. Too long didn't render is the tool I'm talking about, the TLDR, and you can use any link for that. And let me just copy the one I can together live. And sorry, I can't type and talk. Anyways, what we look at is how much memory and CPU your website is using. So we know, for example, that this website, I can bet you like all the money you like, that Shaken Together Live is gonna perform poorly on slower devices. So now imagine that someone is cooking a meal, and they have like an iPad 2 in the kitchen to go to recipes. For some of those websites, the load time here can be like in minutes. So you need quite a lot of CPU, so processor power and memory to actually render all of the JavaScript, all of the scripts for the websites. And we usually deal with that for enterprise websites with like massive stacks of like JavaScript and everything. And I'm learning today that this is a problem of WordPress food bloggers. And fortunately, Casey shed a little bit of light on that. Like 1,200 requests or something like that. Like, wow. So make sure that when you design your website, when you build it, it's available to people with cheaper devices. Otherwise, you're just gonna exclude them from your users. Sorry.
Perfect. Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. If you guys have questions, put them in the comments in the chat on YouTube, and we'll try our best to answer them. I'm going to take over here and just present a few slides from my findings for Shaken Together. Just start that here. Okay. So, as Casey mentioned, there was a migration that happened between July and August, and it seems like you went from having dates in your URL to not having dates in your URL. So as we can see, up until July 19th.
Casey, can you see Arsen's screen? For me, it's still loading.
No, I got it. It's good. He's good.
You got okay.
Perfect.
Sorry.
So as you can see here, up until July of beginning of August of 2019, you had this URL ranking. Today's this Tuesday, Crockpot Breakfast HTML, and then you redirected it to this URL that doesn't have dates in URL. We can see the same thing happening here, just to confirm that there was a change in URL structures, which is fine. A few things that are byproduct of maybe just like a little bit of a poorly handled migration or a change in the way the URLs are structured. As we can see in the site structure, you still have date-based folders or directories, year-based directories, and then when we drill into them, there's still internal links for one link, two links, pointing to these URLs. Even though they are redirecting, you still have a lot of internal links pointing to them. So definitely go in there and start fixing those. You want to avoid these as much as possible. Let's talk about topical focus dilution. I'm going to pick one specific topic, which is no bake desserts. Again, I was really hungry while looking at this, so I went with this one. No bake desserts has about 12,000, a little bit under 12,000 monthly searches. And again, we're looking at Semrush tool set here. And it seems like you are using no bake desserts as a category. I do see it living inside of your recipes. So this is the parent, this is the child inside of the recipes category, but then you still have it living in the root inside of the recipes. And then you also have no bake desserts that lives inside of the category root, even though it's canonical to this one. I don't know why this is happening. I don't know why you guys decided to do it that way, but definitely something to look into. Topic focus dilution. Let's move on with this. So keeping it on this theme of no bake desserts, you have 16 excerpts per page on this particular category archive or index, whatever you want to call it. And then you have about 6 paginated pages, which gives me about 96 posts on the topic of no bake desserts. So it looks like you have a good wealth of information when it comes to no bake desserts and the recipes for it. But when we actually take a look at the relationships, I know this slide probably gave Bart a lot of anxiety right now, but
for some reason I will see that in a few seconds. I can see that like there's
gotcha. It's coming up. So here what we have is we have the actual category page, and then what I did is actually clicked on every single one of these 9 posts that you have here. And here are the screenshots from those posts. And what I'm looking at is how you are structuring your breadcrumbs, the organization of these posts as they relate to their parent. So again, let's take a look at this. Here is the brownie berry chocolate mousse. It lives in no bake desserts, but here you have it in recipes. So the breadcrumbs are not showing a reverse relationship from the child to the parent. Same thing here. You have this dessert, Rose Garden Brownie Bites, that lives in holidays and seasons. You have this one in holiday and seasons also, holidays and seasons here. And then all of these are holiday and seasons up until we get to recipes. So you have 2 posts out of the 9 that are living inside of recipes. And then the rest are in holidays and seasons, but none of the top 9 are pointing back to the parent category of no-bake desserts. And the reason I'm showing you this is no-bake desserts would be a better category for you to organize your content into, just because of the volume of people who are searching for no-bake desserts or no-bake dessert recipes. So as you can see here, organizing this content into like Christmas dessert recipes or Halloween dessert recipes won't really make too much sense, because the volume, the monthly volume is much lower. It's super seasonal, and the difficulty is much higher. So no-bake desserts as a category would make a lot of sense here, at least for me as a marketer, because I know that I can drive a good amount of traffic to the site by ranking at the top of page 1 for no-bake desserts, which is, in terms of difficulty, which is calculated by Semrush keyword difficulty, seems to be much easier to approach. So some of my thoughts for this particular website: internal linking site-wide, you are still linking to old URLs, lots of redirects. Duplicating categories and tags, you are currently canonicalizing. So I didn't show this, but you do have tags that are mimicking or are very similar or exactly duplicating your categories. They are currently canonicalized, but there's no need for that. It's a ticking time bomb. At one point, if Google decides that these are confusing signals, because keep in mind, canonical is a recommendation, it's not a directive. And if Google decides to not listen to your canonicals, you're going to have all kinds of issues, from duplicating content to index bloat to whatever have you. Build better breadcrumb structure. It will help with logical navigational and organizational paths. And just like I showed you in a previous slide, you definitely want to make sure that you include the parent category within the breadcrumbs, the one that makes the most sense. Do keyword and topic research, and this is a recurring theme through a lot of these blogs. A lot of these categories were put together without any thought being put into keywords and topics, and what would be the best thing for you to do as far as ranking for those particular keywords for broader terms. Make sure your breadcrumbs on post include meal type, super important. Be very specific in naming categories to rank for broad queries, like no-bake dessert recipes instead of just no-bake recipes or no-bake desserts. Doing this will not only help with better internal linking, like your parent pages, category pages are currently linking to the child pages, but the children are not linking back to the parent. So you're not building a relationship between these objects on your site. And doing better breadcrumbs is also going to help with topical depth, which is something that I talk about a lot, and that's showing searchers and search engines how much information you have on a specific topic, right? It helps you kind of establish yourself as a go-to place for the information on this particular topic. So that's what I have for this site, and we're going to move on to Crafty Little Gnome. Casey, what do you have for this one?
All right, let's go. It's a crapshoot here. Let's go ahead and see if I can get this going. We're going to do a screen share here. We're going to go. Okay, fantastic. Come on. Come on, here we go. All right. Should be able to see my screen here. Let's pop this up. How's it looking, Arsen? You see everything?
Yep, we're good to go.
Oh, it works well, yeah.
Fantastic. Adrian, thank you so much for volunteering your site. This is going to be very, very helpful for you. What happened specifically for you is that you recently went through a URL change. We can see that here. If we go here to previously, do you see how you have all these dates in your URLs right up here? Here's, let me see if we can actually find them right here. See this one? Clean your microwave. Here's another one, homemade bleach. Let's go ahead and click on that really quickly. This is homemade bleach right there. Doesn't exist. Well, it does. Look, it's right there on your site. What happened was you did a site-wide URL change and you did not do it correctly, and you cut off a lot of authority to your site. When you remove the dates and you remove the TLD here, you basically cut off the ability to garner a lot of links to your site. We're talking literally hundreds of domains that you've cut out. On the homemade bleach page alone, there's 10 domains, some really quality links here that you unfortunately cut away because of, again, just an incorrect permalink change at your end. So we really want to salvage this. And it's very easy to do. We could use a couple lines of mod rewrite in your htaccess file. You can seek out either a quick fix from someone like Grayson Bell at iMark Interactive, or you can go ahead and reach out to a technical lead you have, but this needs to be fixed. We need to make sure that we redirect these URLs to the current live URL here. And this is going to help you considerably because you had a decent backlink profile, but you cut off a lot of authority when you made the permalink change. And it was years ago. So it's possible that some of that authority is probably diluted or basically cut off. But nevertheless, we still want to go ahead and fix that whenever we can. So just an FYI, take a look here. I'm going to go ahead and if you want to reach out to me after, I'm happy to send you this link or any information, but it's pretty self-explanatory. We want to fix that. While you're fixing this issue, we also want to fix the fact that you have a chain redirect in place. Do you see this right here? This is a visual example of where you just have an extra server link on extra server hop on your site. Happens all the time. Usually when you're using a CDN like Cloudflare, you can go in and correctly set it up so that the redirects are basically over the certificate, so that this works a little bit better for you. But what we want to do is we should have one redirect, not two. And again, you had a poor permalink change and you have a chain redirect. So those issues together are really going to dilute the ability of you to get the full value from your backlink profile. I would definitely prioritize getting this stuff fixed. Okay. So technical issues right away, something I would work on. We want to go ahead and get this taken care of. Now, looking on your site as well, do you see that this is your sitemap here? You have a lot of what we call thin and nonsense content that is open to Google. You see right here, this page here, there's nothing on this page. There's really no reason to have something like this open. You have numerous ingredient pages, which the default best practice is we no index this. So you go into your Yoast plugin, you go under search settings, I believe it's just search optimization. You're going to go in and you're going to no index these ingredients. We're also going to no index your courses, which there's nothing there of note anyway, your cuisines, and you've got this one built into your theme for rating, which you also definitely do not need. So going in and no indexing it. Remember when we talked about your content garden? These are weeds. Let's no index this stuff. Let's make it easy for Google to find and index your posts, your pages, and your recipes. So you're going to go ahead, no index that, and then we're going to go ahead and resubmit your sitemap to Google whenever you can. Okay. Now, moving on, we're going to go ahead and take a look at, you have a lot of internal broken links here specifically where we want to take a look at. And if you want to install and use that broken link checker, that's what I would do. But you have, in this case, I believe it's mostly just the fact that we have expired personal content here. Well, that one actually still works, so ignore me, clearly. But one of the things that we want to work at is making sure that we go through this and that we optimize the content whenever we can. This is a box tops for education page. This might be something that you'd want to run, crawl against and see. If we scroll down, do you see how we have the broken text, broken code at the bottom of the page? This apparently, it's hard to see because I've got to, let me hide this really quickly here. Do you see how you've got some broken code here for Social Pug? And maybe Bartosz can, maybe Bart can comment on that a little bit, but this is site-wide for you. So I'd want to go in and see if we can fix that. Update Social Pug, run a clearer and see if this drops out. You can also see that you have a site-wide broken link here for an outgoing link to blog meets brand. We should never have that on your site anyway. Not sure why that is there, so I would remove that. Very easy to do. Moving over here, let's take a look at this site right here. This is a 3-day fall detox. See how it doesn't have a recipe card? You have a lot of content on your site that does not have a recipe card. If you're going to go ahead and keep content like this on your site, your niche is too competitive not to add recipe cards to everything that can have a recipe card. If you're going to go ahead, it looks like you're using, I believe, the Create plugin, I think that's it. Let me see here. Yeah, I believe so. So you can go ahead and take a look at that. Go ahead and make sure that anything you can add, you should. Continuing over here, here's the Thanksgiving pumpkin pie recipe. It's another example of where you had the ability to add a recipe card you chose not to. There's a lot of this. This is coming up. This would be an example of a post that you'd want to target to update and republish, preferably as soon as you can. Just adding a recipe card would help. Go ahead and generate some nice rich snippets in search. Here's an example of a how to get rid of spiders naturally. This is a how-to post. It looks like you went ahead and added let's see here. Looks like you're using Create by Mediavine, and again, it's fine if you want to use it for how-to schema. But the problem is that you didn't fill out all the necessary fields. So if we go to the structured data testing tool here, we're going to go ahead and run that really quickly. How-to schema is great, and I highly recommend it be used by anyone on the call who has any sort of a how-to do-it-yourself kind of content. And it can cover everything. It can cover, again, this how to get rid of spiders naturally. It can cover how to make homemade detergent. It can cover how to put together a teak patio table, something along those lines. But when we're going to use how-to schema, one of the biggest mistakes is not including images or video with each step. This is important for you because this will also generate a very nice rich snippet for you in search results. So if you're going to use how-to schema, don't half-ass it. Go ahead and add in a video. Go ahead and add in an image to each step. Let's go ahead and eliminate. Warnings will not kill you. Errors always will, but I'm all of the belief that this is just a couple more minutes of your time. Fill this stuff out and do as much as you can. Also, very quickly here is your site in Google. You can see that also you have a lot of expired giveaway content, substantial amount of giveaway content. We just don't need any of this stuff here. So once you're done with it, go ahead and either no index it or delete it from your site. Here's a Halloween giveaway that's relatively old, several years old. This is definitely not going to generate any traffic for you. If we scroll down, you probably have a expired Rafflecopter thing right here. Let's get rid of it. If you want to salvage this post, great. Otherwise, just delete it. One of the things you might want to consider is upgrading to Yoast Premium, and then you can go ahead and 410 all these old URLs. If you click delete and you have Yoast Premium enabled, you'll get a prompt at the top that'll ask you either to redirect this to something related, or if you want to just use a 410, just use the 410. It's totally fine. Go ahead and get this out of the index as fast as possible. So kind of as a review again, let's go ahead and get the chain redirects removed. Let's go ahead and seek out some professional help and go ahead and get these redirects, get this permalink change done correctly so we can salvage hopefully some of this authority you've cut off. Also, we talked about it previously. Let's optimize this sidebar. It's very bare. Let's go ahead and showcase. Here's some seasonal content. Here's some top recipes. And of course, we need to make sure that we're eliminating all of our broken links. We're going to go ahead and remove this blog meets brand. We're going to go ahead and remove this blog meets Bloom blog shop link down here. We just don't need this. Remember this, folks. You would never buy a house and have the builder sign your front door. This is the same thing. No reason at all to do this. Let's go ahead and get this stuff off of your site so we can salvage our link equity as much as we can. So on that note, let me go ahead and turn it back over to you guys.
Awesome.
Stop sharing.
Lots of good stuff there.
Arsen, I don't have much on link-wise. There's just obviously one network link, so I can skip my part completely because we're
go through your links. Go through your links, yeah.
So I'll do that in a second. Just one thing I think that comes back in this every single website and in the question at YouTube as well are the questions regarding the structure. And I feel like the structure and information architecture is the main struggle for all the food bloggers out there, and probably most of the bloggers, and the technical part and the logical part as well. So I feel like this is something to address quickly. Basically, I'm not really sure how we can address that within like a few minutes, but we need to make sure that first of all, for all of those websites here, we have a clear category for each things we're cooking or advertising, and then our recipes, our websites are not somehow competing with each other internally. And then the last part would be don't afraid to crawl your website. There are a lot of tools. There are a lot of free tools out there. I think you can use Semrush for crawling. You can use Screaming Frog, Write, Deep Crawl, and so on. Just get a license with one of those. They're very cheap, or some of those are free. And start crawling your website as soon as possible, because what Crawler does, it is visiting every single page one by one, and it's basically going to show you every single broken link internally. This is something you can fix yourself. on top of all the other issues that we're seeing across all the websites here. And the last one is just amazing. The last website, we're all waiting for that. But I feel like this is something to mention here. And just quickly, this website actually has the best link profile out of out of all of these, which is which wasn't that difficult. But basically, looking at that, there's most of the websites we're looking at have this massive increase in backlinks over the last 1 or 2 years, which is usually something that straight away I'm a little bit suspicious about. We can have a look here. Okay, there are just most of the links going to the Adrienne, which I'm guessing is the author of the blog, and there are brand links as well, which seems to be a good thing. Obviously, some of the links here come from some kind of link network, some kind of spammy websites. This one is no exception. I actually had more examples. I'm just gonna quickly go through this one. So you can see, okay, this is the link coming from the website looking like us a network. So it's Watch Me Craft, but the domain is bril.club. I have no idea how to read that, guys. Any help here for non-native speaker? How would it? No?
Brillinia.club.
Yeah, so definitely have a look. I know this is very a lot of work, but when we go through the links, when we go through a link audit, we go every link one by one, and we try to disavow all the shady links for our own website and for our clients' websites as well. Disavow and just going through links has some bad rap over the last few years, because Googlers are actually trying to say that you don't need that anymore. In our experience, it's better safe than sorry, and we basically clean up the links. You can either ask someone, find an SEO company to do that, or you can just basically once every 2 months go through all the new links and disavow all the weird ones like this one. So you don't have that risk behind you. You don't need to worry about updates and so on. Sorry, I jumped the gun. So that's it from me here. And let's give it to Arsen as soon as I stop screen sharing. Yeah.
Perfect. Yep. The disavow part is super important. We disavow for our clients, for our ongoing clients who are very active. We review their backlink profile at least once a month and update the disavow file for it. Okay, I don't have much for this one. Also, a few things. So let me, I think I went too far on this. Here we go. All right, so all of your categories, crafty little gnome, all of your categories are no index, which is really crappy. Casey, did you notice that when you were looking?
Yeah, I should have, because I had the sitemap up on my screen. But yeah, that was a miss on my part. But yeah, those should definitely be open.
This is really bad. So you're killing off a lot of your ability to rank again for these broader terms, and you'll see this as a recurring theme with what I'm talking about today. Is really paying attention to how you're matching queries to specific pages on your site. And optimizing your category indexes helps you rank for these broader terms. So when somebody's not looking for something super specific that you have a specific post on, but somebody is looking for, natural cleaning agents or how to repair certain things, right? So a lot of your all of your categories on your site are currently no index follow. Definitely fix that. I do like how your categories are organized and how you're nesting them in URL. So let's take a look at here. Like you have DIY and crafts, sewing and fiber art. You have DIY and crafts, jewelry. So you have really good nesting happening here between parent and child. But it doesn't really mesh well with the actual post. And again, this is the same thing. This is the third time I'm mentioning this. From the category page, from the DIY crafts / jewelry, you're linking out to a specific post, but this post is not linking back here. There's no breadcrumbs again. So nicely nested URL in the category pages. And let me hide this here. But the posts are sitting in the root, and then there's no organization. So each post is pretty much living on its own. There's no rhyme or reason to it. definitely include breadcrumbs and organize them to include the categories that you're going after. I only have 5 takeaways from what I looked at. Definitely conduct keyword research. Again, I keep repeating this to figure out if there's demand for current categories. Unblock your categories, get them crawled and indexed. Conduct a content audit, and Casey touched on this. Conduct a content audit to see where you should be focusing. Take a look at maybe you should reconsider. You seems like you're blogging a lot about DIY, but your recipe content is like left alone. I see like one post maybe every month, every 2 months, while you're much more consistent with the other topics. So maybe consider like stopping with one and moving on and with the other. Consider updating your theme to be a little bit more modern. I know we talked about the theme. Casey talked about the theme also. Category archive pages are not really user friendly. There's no like read more buttons. You really have to like know that you have to click on the title and the 3 dots. Add breadcrumbs to your posts and category pages. Make sure that logical navigational paths are in place for your posts. And when I say logical navigational paths, I actually want you to like look at it and think, how can a user, if a user lands on my homepage or visitor lands on my homepage, how can they get to this particular post? Which path are they going to take? And if that's the if you find the optimal path, that should be the path that you're putting forward in the breadcrumbs.
Let me just interject on that really quick, because one of the biggest issues I get, and we're getting a lot of questions on it, is how much nesting is too much nesting. So let's talk a couple minutes about that very quickly. I had an audit yesterday. It was ridiculous. There was 8 nesting there. Can you imagine a 2-line breadcrumb path? It becomes 2.5 on mobile. We just can't do that. So we really need to really talk about that. Like, for example, a lot of bloggers, especially recipe bloggers, will have breadcrumb 1, all recipes, breadcrumb 2, beef, breadcrumb 3, slow cooker beef, breadcrumb 4, dinner, and then the recipe. That's just too much, in my opinion. We just do not need to do that. So let's look at best practices on that, Arsen. Are we looking at 2 levels? Are we looking at 3 levels? We want to make sure that we get everything as succinct as possible with regards to those breadcrumb paths, right?
Yeah. So we do this a lot. We do a lot of organization and restructuring information architecture when we do our audits here. Yeah, definitely. You don't want to go too crazy with this, right? You want to create something that's organized and something that makes sense. There's 2 ways of approaching. There's the logical aspect to this, right? Like, should I include a main ingredient and a meal type, or an occasion and a meal type, or a preparation method, right, into the breadcrumbs? And it all depends on what you're trying to rank for. So as in the example on our previous site that we roasted, no bake desserts, right? No bake dessert recipes, right? So you might want to nest home, breadcrumb 1 is home, breadcrumb 2 is desserts, breadcrumb 3 is no bake, and breadcrumb 4 is the self-referencing, or you don't have to self-reference the post, right? But it needs to make sense, right? Because how people are searching, nobody's really going to be searching for seasonal and holiday recipes, right? I mean, people search for that, but that's way too broad, and good luck ranking for that. But somebody will search for Christmas no-bake desserts, right? So that's broad enough to put somebody into that category, right?
Okay, good point.
So apply logic, apply keyword research. You don't have to include home in your breadcrumb path. You don't need to. You don't have to include your homepage. You can go 2 levels deep. Go ahead.
Yeah, to be honest, Arsen, I feel like information architecture is not something that most of the people can do by themselves. It's actually pretty complex, and this is not something you can do with a plugin or even a little bit of research. Like, in our experience, this is one of the most crucial steps. Basically, fixing your information architecture is going to make you rank better within a few months, weeks, whatever. But this is extremely easy to do for professionals. It gives very good results, but just I don't really see someone who's not a full-time SEO going through a proper rebuild of a website. And
maybe we should put out a mastermind on information architecture for WordPress.
Good point. Yeah, we saw a lot of failed attempts of doing that actually broke the website altogether, because you need to have like a lot of technical knowledge, a lot of tools, and basically experience. So this is something
True.
that's yeah.
But at the same time, look, WordPress does make it simple enough, especially if you're using Yoast. If you're properly organizing, if you're paying attention to your categories, you don't have to have the technical know-how, but if you're properly paying attention to your categories and you're looking at things from a topic and interest and demand perspective, right? Are my categories things that people are actually searching for, or am I just creating categories for the sake of organizing my content, right? You need to find that perfect balance. So once you start looking at it from that perspective, you're like, okay, so I'm going to create a category for keto, no-bake desserts, right? Pretty long, right? Long tail. There's demand for it. So I'll have this as a hybrid category as a part of my breadcrumb navigation, but you don't have to actually know how to code it, right? If you're using Yoast and you're properly nesting your categories and you're creating those relationships, Yoast will translate that into a breadcrumb, right?
But that gets tricky, because let's say you've got a keto and desserts, and you've got low carb desserts. Low carb desserts, like keto desserts, are also keto. Like, you know what I mean? There's a massive overlap
between where the keyword research comes in.
And then it gets really complex for someone who's a food blogger full time, and I guess this is probably we should create an episode just explaining just information architecture. Like, this is a different topic. Yeah, sorry.
Perfect. All right.
Let's do it. Let's move on.
Yep, this is our last one that we have here.
We've been all waiting for this one.
All right. Let me preface this. So this is a roast for WordPress blogs, right? And we asked people to submit their WordPress blogs, especially if you're a blogger. Well, specifically for blogger, for us to roast you. But we did get some submissions from non-WordPress sites. We did get some submissions from not blog sites. But this one really stood out to us because whoever submitted this did not really pay attention. And since this is a roast, this is a submission from an SEO agency who submitted their website for us to roast. And since we're all SEOs here, we're about to really tear into this guy.
We took the bait.
We took the bait. So shouldn't have submitted if you didn't want to be roasted, but here it is. Casey, do you want to start?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go ahead and see if we can continue on. See if we can get this to work here. Fantastic. Let's go here. Yeah, let me know. Arsen, you see the screen up?
You are good to go.
All right, Krishna. First of all, I applaud you for actually submitting your site here, but man, I tell you, you're doing the things that we as SEO. Yeah, again, round of applause. We applaud you for submitting this site, but you are doing so many things that give we as SEOs a black eye. I strongly urge you to take all of this to heart, okay? If you want to get to be to the level where hopefully people are going to view you as a learning associate or provide you as someone they recommend, or even that they would consider working on their sites, you cannot put up the bullshit content and the other technical issues that we're seeing on your site today. So take this stuff to heart, okay? Don't take it personally.
I literally didn't know which end to pull on. There's so much here.
There is so much. So again, we can
literally had an anxiety attack. Go ahead, Casey.
All right. So very quickly here, the very first thing, we've already talked about chain redirects. Again, from a technical standpoint, we're going to talk about technical issues. We're going to talk about content issues. We're going to talk about backlinks. This is just lazy on your part. Again, you cannot offer SEO services and have a chain redirect on your site. Here it is right now. You can see the extra server hop right there. This is my site. You see how there's no server hops? And if you were to go ahead and put Bart's site and Arsen's site in, this is what you would see. Because again, we know how to code our HT access files. We know how to set up servers correctly. And you're going to be trusted with migrations in the future. You need to get this stuff right. So this is an example of where you have an extra server redirect. We need to remove that. No value in that. Also, imagine my surprise when I went in and found that you had 2 sitemaps active. Look at this. You're using the sitemap from Yoast, which is automatically generated. We've already talked about this. You need to make sure that you index your tags here. But you also have installed and used Google XML sitemaps here. See this? Again, we just don't do this stuff. It's easy for you to confuse crawlers. One sitemap is enough. You're going to go in and at least at a minimum, you're going to go ahead and delete this sitemap, and you're going to go in and correctly index your tag pages here. Okay, very quickly. We want to fix this stuff. Now, this is your site in Google right now. there's a thing, maybe you've heard about it. It's called over optimization. And I know that Arsen and Bart are going to get into it a little bit, but there's nothing attractive about this in Search Console or in the search results here. Okay. How many times did you repeat SEO in here?
I counted.
Is it 11?
I'll save it for my slides, but go ahead.
So we just can't do this. This is just, it makes you look bad. It makes the industry look bad. This is not going to determine, this is not going to convert users in the search results. You need to do a better job here. We need to actually dial in how your site's going to look like. If we were to go ahead and take a look at something like, let's use Top Hat Rank here. Let's put Arsen on the spot.
God, why?
Let's go ahead and put Top Hat Rank here. Look at that. Look at that. We are a full service virtual in-house SEO team. Look, he uses SEO one time, for God's sakes. How about me? Let's see here. Let's go ahead and take a look. Schedule a site audit, link building, social marketing, or general SEO marketing campaign with speaker, writer, and professional trainer Casey Markey. Again, I'm not trying to spam anything. I'm just trying to, again, tell users what I concentrate on specifically. There's no reason that you should be putting in SEO 11 times your meta description. Got to do better on that. You can do better. Moving on here, you have a substantial internal duplicate content issue. The problem, and this is your online reputation management page. You can see here, online reputation management expert. This is the first couple paragraphs on the page right here. I found this page as well. Online reputation management, or OR, or SEO, which services your company. It's literally the exact same page right there, and they're both indexed. Okay. All you did was bold some keywords. Okay. I applaud you for that. But again, duplicate content, folks, is a between pages situation. We do not want to have this. Okay. Okay. You want to repeat a piece of content on the same page 11 times, go for it. But this is just laziness. Okay. We do not need to have all of your content reprinted. And Krishna, you did this on multiple pages. You just can't do it. Now let's look at your 15 top WordPress speed optimization plugins. This is an example of a page where you talk about how you're a page speed expert. This is the page. Look at that. That's an F. You see that big F? That's on your server response. So most likely your hosting needs to be looked into. Do you see how you have a 1+ second time to first byte? Yeah, that's not good. That's mostly server related. We want to go ahead and get that under 500, 600 milliseconds at a minimum. So this is something that you need to work on. And if we were to run it through the Page Speed Insights tool, same thing, you're at about at a 34. You're not running any ads. You're at a 4.4 second first contentful paint. See all these blank screens? That's how long. Think of those as 1 second. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how long it took for the content to pop in on mobile. That's just not acceptable. So we need to be looking at getting this cut in half. You need to be investing in quality tools. If you're using anything other than WP Rocket, or you're not investing in the best tools, you're wasting your time and you're wasting your client's time, because your site is going to reflect the offerings you provide for your clients. So we need to really get this stuff dialed in. This is just not acceptable. And I know that you can do a better job than this. Now, a couple other things very quickly here. When we talked about the duplicate sitemaps and the no index, it also looked really interesting. It didn't appear, and I know that the guys are going to get into it, doesn't appear that you have canonicals set up on your pages, which was really interesting. You see right here, canonical tag is set for this page but can't be reached. It looks like you're using relative tags or relative URLs throughout your site when you should be using absolute URLs. And I know you got a quote for that, right, Arsen? I think there's a quote on there. I think it's from our colleague in Seattle who's now retired. Oh, Ian Laurie from Portland.
Oh yeah, Ian. Yeah.
Remember what he said about canonicals? If you screw up your own canonicals, or if you have relative canonicals, it's basically like looking at being in the middle of a forest fire from all directions or something like that. It's pretty interesting. I
haven't heard that one.
So this is something that you really need to be. This is just a sign of deeper technical issues. It's just lazy SEO on your part. We're not even going to get into the fact that you're using excessive keyword-rich internal linking over and over again when you shouldn't be, or the fact that you're trying to have your pages locate on everything. I tell you, wow, I applaud the fact that you've actually got the client portfolio you do. I would tell you that as a competitor, I'd probably want to be reaching out to these sites and offering some services. So just be aware that we need to be doing a better job on this end. You need to be showing professional layout. You need to be actually working on competent internal linking. And if you're going to offer online training, for the love of God, try to go ahead and get your site dialed in first, because this kind of stuff hurts the industry. And I know that you can do better. If this is your livelihood, lots of opportunities here. Also, I applaud the fact that you're okay getting spammed by putting your email up here. Good times.
Good testicular fortitude.
Yeah, very much. Okay. So on that note, I'm going to go ahead and stop the screen sharing, and we're going to pop it over. Whoa. Let's see here if I can get rid of that. And you're back, right? You can see me?
Yep.
I think I'm done, right?
Bartosz, what do you have for us?
Yeah. Can you hear me right? Because I had to run. My AirPods kind of got... yeah, I needed to charge them. Anyways, let's move forward. Like this guy, I guess we're all trying to be as nice as we can, but he's not making it easy. So first of all, the website, apart from adding email here, like who is using Gmail in the SEO industry? Raise your hand. So sorry, like I would never, if you would email me from Gmail with an invoice, I'm not paying that, even if we have a contract. So yeah, make sure that you use something else. Again, a weird bump of links. Actually, this website has, I think, the least referring domains, which is super surprising. But looking at the anchor text distribution, it's all SEO expert Bangalore, which is straight away. There are no brand links. There are no brand links here. I'm sorry. Because of the lighting here, I'm being attacked by a lot of bugs. And just a few minutes ago, I actually
bugs.
Yeah, I actually drank one. So I have that in my portfolio. I'm gonna
You're
go
Italian
quick.
now.
Yeah, I am. Anyways, moving forward, and this is just basically a spammy link. But what you're gonna see next, I just killed the bug with my touchpad. What you're gonna see next is difficult. So what I can only assume, this is one of the winners, that they are using their clients as a network. I have no idea, but you're gonna see that the links they're getting, oh my God, I'm under attack here. What they're getting, that's the weirdest webinar setup I did. They get links from like friendly service for auto parts, and that service link is an anchor text for Krishna SEO expert in Mumbai. And then it's not the end. Moving forward, this is a website about actually I have no idea, like interior design and companies. Links to again krishnaseo.com. Moving forward,
so is he like hiding? Is he like hiding links inside of his client's content without the clients knowing about it?
It looks like that, yeah. So if you are in the audience, first of all, shame on you. Secondly, this kind of links, if you think they work, this it's wrong on so many levels. First of all, however you got that, is it a cheap network? Is it your client? I actually didn't really check, because either way, this shows that you're a terrible company from the point of view that, first of all, link like training. Do you want to rank for training? Like, yeah. So this is a broad keyword. I wouldn't use the word training as an anchor text to online SEO training. And I slowly don't see a lot of my screen because of the bugs. Anyways, the massive light is not helping. Oh my God. Anyways, moving forward. I think this is the last one here. So in general, as the guys said before me, both Casey and Arsen, shame on you. We are SEOs are under we
under
as
attack.
SEOs are under enough pressure from people not really trusting the community after what happened over the last years, that we don't really need more. I actually need to take pictures of that of what is happening. So thanks. Yeah, I'm gonna give it out to Arsen and deal with the bug situation here.
Here we go. Let's do it.
Bart, can you put the hoodie back on? I want to take a screenshot of this.
Yeah, go ahead, get those bugs.
I'll show you later on, like how bad the situation is, and just to show you, this is probably a side note. This light is not helping with the bugs in the evening.
Wow. That's awesome. Good for you.
So yeah. Okay. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I need to take a screenshot of Bart's outfit for this webinar.
Oh man,
I didn't see that coming. Oh, I didn't.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. So again, listen, amazing testicular fortitude for submitting the site and not being scared to get roasted. Your homepage, not counting all of the links and words that you have in your navigation, is around 1,265 words of content. 91 instances of SEO, 65 instances of expert, 48 instances of SEO expert. I think you're really trying to prove a point that you're an SEO expert. Definitely panda food. This is what we call panda food. This is you're just asking for it. More panda food. This is your page for SEO expert in London. This is your page for SEO expert in USA. They are pretty much the same page, my friend. I just highlighted a few things here that we can see. Very interesting thing. And other countries as well as London. I did not know London was a country. This is like this is stuff that was considered like not good practices. Like even back in when I was getting started in 2007, 2008, this was already like, don't do this, right? Like this is not a good idea. Like at least spin these. Like do something. Like switch it up. These are pretty much essentially the same thing. And they're living inside, like if you hover over blog in your navigation, this is where this content is living. I don't think this is blog content. Anyways, moving on. Internal competition. Again, for the keyword, SEO company in Bangalore. You have your homepage. You have your SEO company Bangalore, best SEO company Bangalore, India page, and best SEO company Bangalore, India page competing for this one keyword. Again, a lot of internal competition. I'm sure these pages all, or the last two pages have the same content. Your tags, you have open excerpts in your tags. You're not even like showing like a little chunk of it, like 200 characters or 200 words. You are dumping the entire post into your tag archives. So essentially what winds up happening is you have your tag page, SEO Services Germany, right? And it's showing the entire post, which is SEO Expert Germany. These are exactly the same pieces of content that are living under different URLs. This is also a really bad idea. And as an SEO practitioner, you should know that this is not a good idea to do this. Look at which level, at how big this problem is, right? These are your tags for
which are not no indexed.
Yeah, right. They're all indexable, and this is SEO Services Germany, top SEO company in Germany, SEO Specialist Germany, SEO Expert in Germany, best SEO Expert. All of these are your tags. They're indexable. They all have different titles and different address, but they're all showing content that appears on this page here. So you're essentially duplicating, and I cut this off. I think this is 12 times, right? Mm-hmm. If you run, and again, this goes to to support what Casey was saying about tools, that tools are just tools, right? You should not just take it at its face value. Right. A tool set that crawls through this, which is like a basic SEO tool set, like Semrush checks for duplicate content, like actual content. But like a Screaming Frog will not tell you that this is the same content, right? So you really have to dig into it. So like basic SEO tools are not going to say that these are duplicates or near duplicates, because they all have different URLs and different title tags. So the tools provide you with the data. You have to be smart enough to interpret this data. That's all I have. I know there's some questions. I'm going to leave this slide up. This is our information. If any of you need to get in touch with us, I have all of our Twitter handles and our websites. I know there's we're a little 10 minutes over. I know there were some questions. Do we still want to go through these questions, guys, or do we have to run?
No, we can go over them. It's up to Bart. Are you going to be okay? Do you have any mosquito netting that you can put down, or maybe go get a sheet?
I have this candle that actually seems to make them angry, but yeah, I feel I'm gonna power through that somehow. Yeah. So let's go through the questions. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. So there was a few. Let me look through here. There were a few questions.
Might have gotten them. Might have got most of them.
Yeah, here's a question. Live in Kitchen. Do you recommend not adding recipes to multiple categories? How do you recommend best organizing categories with recipes fit into multiple categories? So yeah, you can have recipes that live across multiple categories. This is fine. And for a lot of some of the more complex food blogs. So let me.
I would even go as far as say that you should have your recipes.
Absolutely, in yeah. Categories. But so for some of the more complex and more intricate blogs that we work with, we actually set up multiple breadcrumbs, like multiple. So you'll have one line of breadcrumbs, two lines of breadcrumbs, to show that this recipe can belong to two different categories. You only show one breadcrumb on the page, and but you do mark them up with schema. You can have two different sets of breadcrumbs. But yeah, so you can have a post live across multiple categories, but in your logical navigational path, you should pick one and stick with it. And again, do a lot of keyword research to figure out which one to pick. Casey?
Okay. Yeah, Marjorie, let's move on. Marjorie has just to add to that, as long as you're picking a primary category so that you can have full 100% control of your breadcrumb path, you can just go ahead and put that recipe in whatever many categories you want.
But let's ask the question first. Let's read the question first, so later on.
No, I'm still answering the previous question.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, again, I totally get it. You are probably in the early stages of dengue or yellow fever, so it's I totally expect it's going to be a little slow going forward. Yeah, next question here, Marjorie Pilley. Marjorie, when do you use a category page versus a landing post with a roundup of recipes related to a specific topic?
Ooh, good question.
Yeah, it's a good question, but they're basically different things. The category page, we always want to make sure that we've optimized that as much as possible. Think of the category page as a window into the house that is your blog. We want to go ahead and link to that whenever we can in some of your posts. Hey, this is, if you love this lasagna recipe, you're going to love all my other Italian recipes, and then you link to the category page. You could conceivably do the same thing with the roundup. The problem is that most roundups in the recipe niche are horrible. They're very thin content. They do not have qualified introductory text. There's no conclusions. You've just provided a list of the recipes with no real descriptor text about here's why I chose this recipe for inclusion in this roundup. So I guess the question is, do you feel that the roundup post is of high enough quality that would deserve a link in an existing recipe post as opposed to your category page, or are they mutually inclusive? So that's something you'd have to determine at your end.
For roundup posts, so like everything that Casey said is exactly on point. But for roundup posts, you definitely want to, you first of all, you don't want to create a post that's going to compete with your category pages. Definitely avoid that, right? So you don't want to create like a post that says 12 best no-bake keto recipes if you have a no-bake keto dessert recipe category page, right? So you definitely want to think logically before you actually create the post, and ask yourself, why am I creating this post, and what keywords is this post going to rank for, right? And is this post going to compete with a category or an archive on my site, which is currently getting traffic and is ranking for these keywords? If the answer is yes, don't publish that post, because you're just wasting your time. It's going to have a hard time ranking, and you're going to get into a situation where it's competing, right? I always recommend roundup post to be something that's useful, that's not currently being covered by any of the categories. So a lot of times we would, like, if they don't have the technical know-how, or they don't have the engineering budget to implement this, the hybrid categories that I talked about earlier, those can be used for roundup posts, right? So you can combine two of your categories and create a hybrid category roundup post on that.
Bart, did you have anything to add? Because I would quickly jump in, and I think that this question arises the question arises out of the fact that there's been a huge increase in sites wanting to use itemless schema to qualify for possible carousel consideration. And just to let you know that I specifically reached out to Google, and I had one of their engineers respond to me on Twitter. It is okay to add itemless schema to category pages. This was something that they clarified for us recently, and it was something that they hadn't updated the guidelines with. So I think you can have the best of both worlds. Optimize the category pages first. Try to add some itemless schema to those. Let's see if we can get those for some category consideration, as opposed to doing what Arsen has said and having other pages which can cannibalize and compete against your existing content.
We've been adding the itemless schema to category pages for a while now. It is a really good thing to do.
All right, let's go. One more question here. What do we got?
Yep. Do we have anything? I saw one earlier.
When's your next? Go ahead and talk about when your next roast my site is, because I know there's some people interested in making sure they don't miss the next one.
We have a few lined up. We haven't put up a page yet. We will hopefully soon put up a page and notify everyone via email and social media. But yeah, make sure you subscribe. Follow. Let me share my screen again. Follow Casey, myself, and Bart on our social profiles. This way you'll be up to date. We're always sharing when our podcasts, webinars, and roasts are. Casey does a lot of his own stuff as well, so make sure you, for the sake of not sounding like a typical social media influencer, subscribe, like, and follow to know when our next events are. And
you need to smash that subscribe button.
Smash that subscribe button.
Smash it.
Yeah.
So we hope you liked our new format. Bart, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So we actually were trying with Arsen, both of us, to have the roast like first day of each month, more or less. So we are expecting the next one to be around November 1st-ish.
I think it's getting moved to November 6th because of scheduling and
hence the around and ish. So yeah, there are a lot of holidays in that period of time, some conferences as well. So we'll do our best to keep it around the beginning of the month.
Yeah, we're heading into conference season. Casey, where are you speaking next?
PubCon with you. It's going to be fantastic next week. If there's anyone on the call that's going to be in PubCon or in Vegas next week, let us know. Drop us a note. Maybe we can get you an invite to some of the killer parties. Arsen and I are hosting an invite-only event on Tuesday night that's going to involve video games, excessive alcohol, and lots of finger foods. Should be good times.
Sounds amazing.
Where can people on the other side of the pond see you speak next?
Yeah.
Oh, so I just finished SEO Oktoberfest, and I'm speaking at 6th Wiesen. So two very, very tiny conferences. But next one is Digital Growth Unleashed in London, I think.
Oh, fantastic.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yep. Doing PopCon with Casey next week, and then we're doing State of Search in early November together, right, Casey? You're going to State of Search?
Right. And then fantastic. Yeah, I've already got the limos lined up. So
nice. And then we have Ungagged here in Los Angeles, second week of November. So that's it, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Let us know what you think.
I'm actually very proud of a lot of people who still are here after almost 2 hours. So thank you so much, guys.
I know,
really
right?
appreciate that.
My wife left immediately. She's like, okay, 10 minutes is enough. Out. Ridiculous.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Sorry if
Take
it drug
easy,
it too long.
so
Bartosz, I really enjoyed the sunset behind you through this webinar. Also, that was very nice and pleasant.
Thank you so much. Yeah, like look at that.
All right, guys.
Definitely go ahead and get some meds, Bart, so we can combat that yellow fever.
Yep.
Okay, I'll send it over.
Completely dark. Thank you so much.